Rndr is one of the hottest AI altcoins on the market right now, hitting new 2-year highs as we speak. And this comes at a time where some very interesting connections have come up between this altcoin and some of the biggest companies in the world, including Apple, Microsoft, and Google OpenAI. And they were recently featured in a VanEck article highlighting their shift to machine learning. And in today's episode of the Everything Crypto Show, we are going to break all this down for you guys, as well as tell you what I think this means for the price action. Now, before we hop into the content, just a friendly reminder that I am not a financial advisor. I am simply here for your crypto news and entertainment purposes. And if you do enjoy the content, please consider hitting that sub and like button and turn that notification bell on so you can be notified when all of our latest videos go live on the channel. So if we take a look at the overall markets at the time of this recording, I mean, you can see Bitcoin is down about 1.5%. Ether is down just under 1/3%. And the overall market is either down or flat. Now, Rndr has had a nice reversal from being down, actually currently up about 3.87% on the day. And the reason this is significant is because we saw this trend reversal happen when Rndr is effectively in new yearly high territory. And I think that just goes to show how much demand there really is for this altcoin at the moment. So if we take a look at a 6-month view here, you're going to notice that the previous high was at about $5.30. We did briefly break down below that earlier today, and you can see that in one daily candle, this dip just got really bought right back up, bringing it back above this previous all-time high. We are now back above it in new high territory. And over the last year, Rndr has been a really strong performer. If we take a look at a 1-year chart and then move this over to percent, this altcoin's up basically 200% over the past year. So there's a lot of hype behind this coin at the moment. It is one of our favorites over here at the channel, and I do think the hype is warranted because this token has very quickly shifted into the AI and sort of like machine learning space, which, you know, I think is going to be one of the defining narratives of this bull run. So I do want to kind of just break down exactly what the Rndr network is, and effectively this is a GPU, a decentralized GPU rendering platform. So through a blockchain marketplace for idle GPU compute, the network provides artists the ability to scale next generation rendering work at fractions of the cost, and at orders of magnitude increases in speed when compared to the centralized GPU cloud. So effectively, people are able to take their idle GPU power and contribute it to the Rndr network. Artists and creators use this idle GPU power, and then the GPUs that are basically lending out their rendering power are paid in this token. So effectively, it's just a big decentralized GPU platform, and you know, there is a lot of demand for GPU power at the moment. Okay, we know that last week, Sam Altman, the OpenAI CEO, he basically said he wants to raise $7 trillion for new AI chip projects, which includes just massive GPU centers. And this is something that the Rndr network does solve with their solution. So a ton of demand for GPU power, and that is exactly what the Rndr network offers. They do go into some of the use cases down here. And I think it's important to note that when the Rndr network did launch, this really was basically for rendering frames, and they have very quickly moved into actually focusing on machine learning. So this was a recent article from VanEck. Okay, VanEck is one of the big TradFi players, and this is an entire article on their crypto AI revenue predictions by 2030. Now, it's important to note that a lot of different coins out there, they're going to try and hop on the AI bandwagon and say that their project is AI, but very few actually are focused on AI, and Rndr does in fact meet this category. So this is the quote right here, and I did actually share it on Twitter as well. Rndr, who recently migrated to Solana, was initially focused on connecting artists to decentralized groups that would provide GPU power to render images and videos. However, Rndr has begun to focus its decentralized GPU fleet on satisfying machine learning workloads to support deep learning models. Through the recent network improvements Improvement Proposal RNP004, Rndr now has an API to connect external networks like IO.net that will utilize the Rndr's network of GPUs for machine learning. Subsequent proposals by the Rndr community were passed to allow its GPUs to be accessed through Beam and FedML to fulfill machine learning tasks. As such, Rndr has become a decentralized facilitator of GPU workloads, which is coordinated by Rndr payments to providers and Rndr incentives to entities running the network's backend infrastructure. So very good pivot from the Rndr team from, rendering frames to now actually offering this GPU workload to contribute to machine learning, something that is in great demand at the moment. And this coin really does sit at the top of some big narratives, the AI one being the big one. The other one also being gaming, in my opinion, as spatial computing does become more and more popular as well. And we saw a perfect example of that here with the launch of the Apple Vision Pro. So it was a huge day for the Rndr network with the first Vision Pro rendering jobs done for the Archive immersive experience, preserving the legacy of Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek in next-generation spatial media formats. So this thread highlights the groundbreaking news around the Vision Pro release and how the Rndr network technologies were leveraged to make cutting-edge, fully immersive, lifelike spatial media experiences a reality. The Archive app is on the Apple Vision Pro. That is the Rndr network, the actual Altcoins logo right there. So definitely something that I do think is good for the brand recognition. And here we have it. Their parent company, Otoy, is actually sharing some of the spatial computing areas that were actually created on the Apple Vision Pro. This was rendered on the Rndr network completely, okay? And it's a pretty big deal to see that they do in fact have their very own app on the Apple Vision Pro. And there has been a lot of growth for the Rndr network over 2023. Here was their full report, which we're actually going to click on real quick and walk you guys through because they have some infographics here that does it a lot better than Twitter. So let me see. Okay, so Q4's rendered frames were a 29% increase compared to the previous quarter. There was a 95% increase in Q4, there was a 95% increase when compared to Q3 with how much Rndr token was actually being used. And then here, the year-over-year growth in key metrics. So here we see an increase in frames rendered from 2 million up to about 3 million. The amount of Rndr used from 500,000 up to over 1 million. Frames rendered from 8.7 mil up to 9.9 mil. Rndr used year-over-year totals from 1.8 mil in 2022 to 2.7 mil in 2023. This was the Rndr change from Q4 2022 to Q4 2023. So just big increases across the board, right? Jobs created on the Rndr network, scenes uploaded, and this is all fine and dandy. But the big thing now that I'm really focused on is their pivot into machine learning and AI. But when you have a big company like Apple launching the Vision Pro, and then you see that the Rndr network does actually have their very own app here, which does have actual use with this new technology. I mean, that's a pretty big deal in my opinion, just for the brand awareness. And we can see on Twitter here that Jules Urbach, this is the founder of the Rndr network, as you can see right here. Yeah, founder at Rndr. He's basically having a pretty interesting conversation here with the OpenAI founder, as well as the founder of Stability AI. So, every pixel will not be streamed, it will be generated. And beyond pixels, this is Jules Urbach, and beyond pixels, Gen AI at this fidelity means we are closing in on generating true rendering primitives. So ray surfaces, BDRFs, don't know what the F that is, but we need to get there for non-raster devices and endpoints, real-time video games, spatial platforms. And the conversation just goes on, but very interesting to see that he is talking with some big names out there in terms of the AI space, or tagging them in the threads. And on top of that, Microsoft and Google both actually are working with the Rndr network to bring Azure alongside Google's A2 instances to further bolster the Rndr network's capabilities. I think this is more like the Rndr network, tapping into Microsoft and Google technology. But still, this altcoin just appears to be in a lot of very good places at the moment, and I think that definitely is reflected in the price action, right? So we can take a look at the 1-year chart here for this token, and it's up almost 200% over the past year. And if we take a look at the all-time chart here, I mean, once again, this altcoin is not even that far off of its all-time high. And if we take a look at the trading view chart and kind of, understand the full wick, the all-time high for this coin actually came at about the high $8 range, $8.78, give or take. And if we take a look at the trading view chart to see just how high this altcoin went, its all-time high actually came in the high $8 range, around $8.78. And yeah, I mean, we can just see here, right, even based on the bull market support band, we saw this break above the bull market support band in early January at about 80 cents after this coin had bottomed out at about 40 cents. And since then, it has really just been off to the races, even on this breakout here above the bull market support band at about $1.80, let's call it. I mean, now it's sitting at 553. So definitely has been a great performer here. And yeah, like we were saying, we saw this kind of like local high form in late December at $5.28. Now from that level, this coin actually saw a pretty nice pullback to about the mid $3 range, and then boom, just snapped right back up, now back above that $5.30 level. Basically, at the moment in 2-year high territory at prices we haven't seen since January 2022. And to me, it looks like there is not really any significant resistance on this coin until we get back up to that $7 area, more or less. So, we're going to keep an eye on how this plays out, but this is kind of like my favorite AI coin for the upcoming bull run, and one that I do think, will be one of the better performing altcoins here. It currently sits in like the mid 40s ranking for coins. I do believe this project has the potential to crack, that top 30, top 20 territory. And I also do want to show you the Bitcoin valuation real quick. So this is the Rndr versus Bitcoin pair. And yeah, once again, I mean, okay, I don't know why the chart does that, but yeah, I mean, just in a pretty steady uptrend since the beginning of 2023, this altcoin has been a better performer than Bitcoin, which is pretty rare. Most altcoins have underperformed Bitcoin over the past year and a bit, year and 2 months, and Rndr is one of the exceptions, so showing a lot of strength here in this altcoin. And on that note, I hope you did enjoy the content in today's video. I hope you are all staying happy, safe, and healthy, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace out for now.